Every day, the young man has to work tirelessly, washing all the smelly clothes outside, working for 24 hours a day. Several senior brothers think he is young and easy to control, but they don't know that the young man has a big background. He is Fang Xing, who is the Ghost Smoke Valley's great 10 thief and leads a carefree life in the martial arts world. He robs the rich to help the poor and is deeply respected by the residents of the town. One day, a black-clad swordsman enters his valley and kills every people. Only the young boy named Fang Xing and his maid, Xiaoman, survive. Fang Xing investigates and finds out that the killer is from the Qingyun sect. He plans to sneak into the sect to seek revenge. However, it is not easy for him to enter the sect, as he is a poor, talentless, and unknown person. He begs for 3 days to enter the sect, but is only beaten up in return. Finally, he loses his patience and starts attacking the Qingyun sect, which angers a fat man. The fat man orders everyone to catch Fang Xing, but Fang Xing manages to escape and is caught by a disciple of the Qingyun sect. As Fang Xing is about to be beaten, his maid Xiaoman bravely steps forward to protect him. However, a disciple behind them notices that Xiaoman is a half-human, half-demon hybrid, which he despises. He kicks Xiaoman, causing her to be seriously injured and bleeding. Fang Xing is outraged and wants to seek revenge for Xiaoman. He demands that the disciple who kicked her be punished, but everyone falls silent. As Xiaoman's blood flows, it emits a powerful vitality. The fat man recognizes that it is a rare wood spirit bloodline, which will surely lead to great talent. The news quickly spreads to the top members of the sect, and the famous Lingyan senior sister rushes to the scene. She examines the blood and confirms the presence of the wood spirit energy. Xiaoman is a rare talent and has to be recruited by the sect. Lingyan prepares to take Xiaoman for treatment, but Xiaoman holds onto her clothes and continues to mutter about Fang Xing, even in her unconscious state. Lingyan has no choice but to pause and listen. She learns that Fang Xing is Xiaoman's younger brother and is surprised to find out that his talent is low. She offers him a top-grade pill and tells him that they have no further business with him, because Xiaoman is destined to become a powerful figure in the cultivation world and cannot be associated with a beggar like him. However, Fang Xing does not want the pill and only asks to be admitted to the Qingyun sect. He is Xiaoman's brother and cannot leave her alone. Lingyan is angry with Fang Xing's audacity but cannot go too far, as Xiaoman would resent her if she did. She reluctantly agrees to take Fang Xing in but warns that he has mediocre talent and will be given the most difficult and arduous tasks. However, Fang Xing is not worried. He knows that he will surprise them all with his abilities. Just a day ago, Fang Xing finally manages to enter the Qingyun sect. Although he is only a lowly servant, he has the opportunity to become an outer disciple if he can cultivate to the first level of the spirit stage. The fat guy comes and gives Fang Xing a Qingyun forging chi book. The book is the basics that every disciple must learn. As long as Fang Xing can cultivate according to the book, he will reach the first level of spirit movement and can be promoted to an official disciple of the Qingyun sect. Fang Xing eagerly opens the book, but the text is cryptic and difficult to understand with his limited knowledge. He practices for 3 hours but cannot feel any of the energy described in the book. He begins to doubt if he will ever be able to cultivate. Fortunately, he also has a secret book, a treasure from the Evil Bone sect. Before dying, the previous owner repeatedly emphasizes that it is a valuable treasure. Although Fang Xing does not know how to use it, he opens the book out of curiosity and is suddenly engulfed in a golden light. The light enters his mind, and when he regains consciousness, he finds himself in a mysterious space. To his surprise, the previously cryptic book is now easy to understand. Fang Xing quickly sits down and begins to practice. He masters the new technique and is surprised to find that he has already reached the entry level of the spirit stage. However, a group of men suddenly barge in, and their leader grabs Fang Xing by the collar. The man threatens to kill Fang Xing unless he lets them bully him and does all the hard work for them. Fang Xing is tempted to fight back, but realizes that he does not know their strength or the consequences of his actions in the Qingyun sect. He pretends to be weak, and the men are satisfied with his response. The next day, Fang Xing works hard and quietly observes his surroundings. He notices that those guys who bullied him don't have any powerful aura, suggesting that they are mere mortals. Fang Xing decides to teach them a lesson, but he waits until midnight to act. He picks up a dagger and stabs their leader, who lets out a loud scream. The other men light candles and are horrified to see Fang Xing with a bloody dagger and a cruel smile. The leader tries to retaliate, but Fang Xing easily dodges his attack and kicks him in the back. Fang Xing then proceeds to stab the man's buttocks 18 times, laughing maniacally. The other servants are terrified and kneel before Fang Xing, begging him to spare them. From that day on, Fang Xing is the leader of these servants and has them all under his command. Fang Xing continues to practice every day, but he finds it difficult to break through without resources. The number of servants who can become outer sect disciples is very small, so Fang Xing does not hold high hopes. He spends most of his days basking in the sun and swimming. He thinks that this is how he will spend the rest of his life until a steward comes to inspect the servants. The boy was originally a powerful figure, but now he has fallen into the role of a small servant. Nevertheless, he still uses his talent to become the leader among the servants, but unexpectedly he is falsely accused soon after. Fang Xing is filled with anger at the unfairness of fate. He has spent his whole life fighting for justice and righteousness, but why has he ended up in this situation where he must constantly endure and make compromises, and yet still cannot find peace? Since this is the case, there is no need to endure any longer. Fang realizes that it is only his lack of cultivation that has led him to this point, and he has only just begun to practice the Qi technique. He decides to take the initiative and strike first, hoping to gain an advantage. Zhuji is caught off guard by Fang Xing's attack, and is only able to resist it to a certain extent, receiving a light injury to his left arm. Zhuji's face is grim, surprised that Fang Xing has developed spiritual energy in just 3 days. This kind of aptitude is comparable to that of the Dongmen heavenly teachings, causing him to doubt his own autopsy analysis. Fang Xing's movements show no signs of slowing down. Zhuji reached the first level of spirit movement a year and a half ago, and while his cultivation may not be high, he has learned various sword techniques. Zhuji wastes no time in performing a sword technique, using his spiritual energy to create a multitude of divine swords that come together to form the pre-heavenly octagon. The swords create layers upon layers of sword energy that surround Fang Xing. Just a few days ago, Fang Xing was an ordinary person and has never seen such a profound display of power. Despite his attempts to break free by moving suddenly left and right, he cannot penetrate the blockade. The steward sees that the situation is settled and begins to bully Fang Xing. As long as Fang Xing surrenders obediently and kowtows 100 times to him, he'll let Fang Xing go today. Fang Xing is proud and refuses to accept such humiliation. He boldly challenges his opponent to attack and vows to fight back with all his might. The supervisor is consumed with anger and removes the restraining sword formation, unleashing an attacking sword technique that swiftly changes handprints, sending a spiritual sword straight towards Fang Xing. However, Fang Xing, relying on his rich combat experience, manages to dodge the sword at the critical moment and seizes the opportunity to prepare for close combat. Although Zhuji is well prepared and has a wooden sword as backup, given the distance between them, Fang Xing has no chance of dodging. Nonetheless, he is ruthless and burns his own meridians to exchange for increased strength. He grabs the wooden sword bare-handed, refusing to let go. Fang Xing manages to withstand the attack, but his whole body is defeated, leaving him as a cripple. He thinks he is done for today, but unexpectedly, The yin-yang divine book emits a dazzling golden light, and a mysterious force washes over his body. Not only do his meridians receive nourishment, but his cultivation level also recovers and even reaches the first level of spirit movement. The steward realizes things are going poorly, but before he can react, Fang Xing has already rushed over and struck him with a fierce punch. The onlookers among the servants are stunned. They never expect Fang Xing to become so powerful and rush to flatter him. However, dealing with Suji remains a difficult problem. Suji argues that he is only following orders and forces Fang Xing to leave, but he does not intend to take Fang Xing's life. Otherwise, he would not use a wooden sword for the final blow. According to legend, there is a magical item called Qianjin that allows the wearer to transform into various forms. However, it is neglected and regarded as trash, thrown away in corners. Fang Xing now becomes a disciple of Qingyun sect. According to the rules of the outer sect, new disciples can choose a sword weapon from the spirit tool pavilion, but Fang Xing is obstructed by the guard. They immediately ask Fang Xing for money. Even if he has money, he will not give it to these parasites. Unexpectedly, Fang Xing angers the leader, Baoya, who tells him to leave. Fang Xing remains calm and reminds his fellow disciples that new disciples can choose a weapon without conditions. Do they want to violate the rules? Baoya thinks Fang Xing is just a nobody and reluctantly lets him in. But choosing a weapon is not so simple. There are at least tens of thousands of different sized and graded weapons in the pavilion, mostly damaged and low level. Without the help of a guard, finding a suitable weapon is like finding a needle in a haystack, let alone completing the task within the time limit. The three Gurads look at Fang Xing with disdain, confident that he will choose a garbage weapon. Fang Xing is overwhelmed by the variety of weapons and cannot decide. Suddenly, he hears a voice in his head and is startled by the subpar and low-level child's flying sword. He realizes that he can use his gaze to learn about the specific information of each weapon. Not only that, he can also see a person's cultivation level. He immediately thinks of the yin-yang divine demon book and suspects that it helps him to generate voice in his head. After wandering around the pavilion, he finally discovers the ghost face mask in a dusty corner. He names it Qianji, a high-level weapon that allows the wearer to transform into various forms. Fang Xing has used something similar before as a thief and is thrilled to have found it. At this point, the time for the incense stick has run out, and Baoya and his cohorts laugh at Fang Xing. The mask does not emit any spiritual energy and is hardly even a weapon. Baoya offers Fang Xing a chance to pick again if he begs. Fang Xing, however, ignores them and leaves with a smile on his face. A group of idiots has just handed him a big opportunity. The benefits of being an outer disciple are not just limited to neighboring weapons. Fang Xing also receives an advanced version of the Qingyun Refining Qi book and a spirit stone. The stone is pure in spiritual energy and can be absorbed directly, greatly increasing the speed of cultivation. The only drawback is that it doesn't last long, as one stone is only enough for one night's cultivation. Outer disciples are only given one spirit stone every 3 months, so earning stones quickly becomes a top priority for them to advance their cultivation. Fortunately, from Juji's mouth, he learns that there is a place in Qingyun sect called the Ghost Market, where not only spirit stones can be obtained, but also various genius treasures can be traded. How could he miss such a place? Taking Qianji with him, he transforms into a stylish man and quietly sneaks into the market at night. Unexpectedly, there are many people in the Ghost Market, all of them wearing masks to cover their identities. Fang Xing is currently contemplating whether to take action or not. Nevertheless, being the former 10th greatest thief in his valley, he doesn't expect this to pose any difficulty for him. He doesn't expect his luck to be so good today. Not only are there bags and bags of spirit stones, but also a high-grade 9 snake sword. This sword is worth at least 1,000 of golds. He cannot resist and squeezes out of the crowd, expressing his willingness to exchange his family's treasure for the sword. The disciples of Qingyun are curious about what kind of treasure can exchange for this 9 snake sword. They move forward to watch and see a gourd emitting a seductive fragrance, making everyone wonder what kind of item it is. Looking at its seemingly low-grade item, the people feel dizzy after 3 seconds, realizing something is wrong. But it is too late, and all the disciples of King Yun fall into a coma due to sleepy smoke. Fang Xing reveals his true form only after the last disciple has fallen. He doesn't expect the disciples of the King Yun sect to be so easy to handle. He just uses a little charm and already gets all their treasures. With these treasures, he won't have to worry about resources for at least a few months. However, he overlooks one thing, which is that the guards at the gate are not to be underestimated. When they hear the commotion, they rush over quickly. Fang Xing quickly transforms into a muscular man. He knows that he can't reveal his true identity. After a few exchanges, he is already at a disadvantage and is caught off guard by one of the guards, who pierces his neck with a sword, causing blood to flow out instantly. When he is about to be killed, suddenly the 2 guards fall to the ground. It turns out that he used his charm on them beforehand and it finally took effect. After a moment of relief, he realizes that he has almost failed because of his greed. However, the high risk, the high return. The whole King Yun sect outer disciples go crazy as they wake up the next morning. Everyone is looking for the thief last night, but who could have expected that the thief is actually a 10-year-old boy? 3 months later, Fang Xing finishes drying all the spirit stone, but his cultivation still cannot break through to the 2nd level. Fang Xing is considering whether to make another move, but is interrupted by Juji, who comes to tell him to collect the spirit stone. When it is Fang Xing's turn, the elder who is distributing the stones suddenly raises his head, and the light in his eyes seems to penetrate into Fang Xing's inner being. He advises Fang Xing to focus on cultivation and not engage in those messy things. Fang Xing nods in agreement. When he comes out of the crowd, he is already sweating profusely. It seems that he has been discovered. Who would have thought that the innocent and lovely boy turns into a cruel and ruthless maniac in the blink of an eye? It turns out that as he receives his spirit stone with Juji, they are robbed by Senior Liu, a senior member of the outer sect. Juji knows how powerful Senior Liu is, so he quickly offers everything he has. Fang Xing remains calm, with no change in his expression. Senior Liu, on the other hand, is in high-level spirits, smiling and asking Fang Xing for present to show his respect. Juji realizes that the situation is not right and quickly steps forward to ease the tension, but is kicked aside by Senior Liu, saying that he is just a nobody pretending to be a big shot. At that moment, Fang Xing makes a move, appearing innocent while holding spirit stone in his hands. He greets Senior Liu, saying, "Nice to meet you, senior brother. Please take care of me." Senior Liu's face lights up with joy, and he comments, "You're quite an interesting kid." At this moment, Fang Xing's hand trembles and the stone falls to the ground. Senior Liu thinks that Fang Xing can't handle his pressure, and is even more pleased with himself. But Fang Xing pretends to bend down to pick up the stone and then quietly takes out a dagger from his pocket. Seizing the moment when Senior Liu relaxes his guard, Fang Xing ruthlessly stabs him in the dantian, then quickly pulls out the dagger and backs away. Senior Liu doesn't expect to fall into a trap. His dantian shatters, his spiritual energy flows out uncontrollably, and his physical appearance deteriorates as he struggles to escape. Once again, Fang Xing rushes towards Senior Liu with the dagger in hand and proceeds to stomp on him. Despite this, Senior Liu remains somewhat defiant, insisting that Fang Xing should just kill him, or else he will never have a good day again. However, Fang Xing remains undaunted and refuses to be intimidated. With a wicked smile, he raises the dagger, and the air is filled with the sound of pitiful begging. Finally, he retrieves the stones from Senior Liu and uses them all to cultivate. 3 days later, he finally manages to break through to the 2nd level of the spirit movement. However, Senior Liu is already at the 3rd level and is sure to seek revenge after being defeated by Fang Xing's tactics. In the short term, Fang Xing has little hope of improving his cultivation level, so he focuses on controlling the 9-snake sword to gain the strength needed to fight back. To Fang Xing's surprise, the sword requires a significantly higher level of cultivation than he anticipated. After struggling for a day and a night, he barely manages to control it. However, the sword consumes a lot of energy when used and can be depleted after just one use. It becomes clear that he must improve his cultivation level, but without resources, his efforts may be in vain. Fortunately, Juji arrives with good news. The ghost market, which had been closed for 3 months, has reopened. Fang Xing hurries there at night, knowing it is a treasure trove for acquiring resources. However, the guards have tripled in number, obviously to guard against Fang Xing. But who could have thought that Fang Xing has already turned into a beautiful woman, thanks to the Qianji transformation technique? It's really effective. The ghost market is more cautious than before, and they only allow entry after seeing the traded items. Fortunately, Fang Xing has already prepared and is able to enter smoothly. The scale of the ghost market is clearly larger this time. Looking at the treasure scattered all over the ground, Fang Xing restrains himself and resolves conflicts gradually, knowing that a steady stream of resources is the way to go. After wandering around a few times, Fang Xing discovers a talented person who is Huaqianzi and exceptionally skilled in deception. With just a few words, Fang Xing catches his weaknesses and sees through his true identity. If Fang Xing can cooperate with this person, he can already see unlimited possibilities. The 10-year-old boy transforms into a stunningly beautiful woman and sets up a shocking scam. The yellow-dressed man is the first victim. He comes to exchange a demon spirit pill for stone essence powder. Upon seeing this, a glint flashes in Fang Xing's eyes. The demon spirit pill is just what he needs right now. Refining it will quickly increase his cultivation level. Acquiring stone essence powder is no easy feat. This valuable substance, along with the demon spirit pill, is a critical ingredient in refining the breakthrough pill, which is used to break through a level. However, the output of these ingredients is consistently low and tightly controlled by high-level officials of various sects. Private trading is prohibited and goes against the rules. Fang Xing quickly comes up with a plan. He steps forward and whispers, "I have stone essence powder. Follow me." He leads the yellow-dressed man into a small grove, then suddenly turns around and slaps him hard across the face, intimidating him with a fierce demeanor. "Are you stupid? Buying stone essence powder openly in the black market? If the sects find out, no one here can escape." Of course, Fang Xing wouldn't hit him for no reason. He has already discovered the yellow-dressed man's identity as an outer sect disciple in dire need of breakthrough pill, and he also is from a high-power family. Although the yellow guy knows he is in the wrong, he can't stand being humiliated and wants to fight back. Fang Xing calmly says, "I do have the stone essence powder, but the price won't be cheap." Hearing this, the yellow guy feels relieved. He looks at the woman in front of him with a high and mighty attitude and wonders if she is from a high-ranking family. This also explains how she can get her hands on the stone essence powder. But Fang Xing's price is too high and he can't afford it. However, Fang Xing's attitude is very firm and he can only compromise. The two agree to meet again the next day. On the day of the transaction, Fang Xing returns to the small grove but feels that something is off. He draws out his small knife just in case but finds that it is a cat. Just as Fang Xing is about to relax, the yellow guy suddenly leaps out from behind him. Fang Xing quickly reacts and pushes him away, feeling suspicious. The yellow guy is no fool and after analyzing the situation, he realizes the flaw in Fang Xing's plan. If the woman is truly a high-ranking member of the sect, why would she risk breaking the rules and come here just for a few demon spirit pills? The most likely explanation is that the woman is a fraud. After finishing his speech, he prepares to take action, but Fang Xing remains calm and hands over the essence powder, suggesting that Hu Qing verify its authenticity. Hu Qing is surprised when Fang Xing addresses him by name and asks how he knows his identity. Fang Xing explains that he used his connections to investigate, causing Hu Qing to feel uneasy. Seeing the 9-snake sword in Fang Xing's possession, Hu Qing begins to believe in his identity and lowers his posture, expressing caution but continuing with the transaction. Fang Xing completes the transaction and leaves quickly, while Hu Qing remains in place, feeling suspicious. He takes out the stone essence powder and notices that the powder has faded in color, realizing that he has been scammed. Numerous mysterious coffins have suddenly appeared above the earth, each containing a world-changing treasure. However, one of these coffins emits a bright red light and descends from the void, heading straight towards the Qingyun sect. The disciples of the sect who witness this scene feel an immediate sense of danger. Meanwhile, an elderly master within the sect opens his eyes and plays the flute, wondering if the long-awaited time has finally arrived. However, the protagonist, Fang Xing, is preoccupied with his own problem: how to refine the demon spirit spill that he is holding, which doesn't come with any instructions. His 10 years of cultivation experience have taught him that he often pays the price for acting impulsively. Fang Xing becomes anxious when he receives a message from the secret book warning him that the demon spirit pill must be slowly dissolved on the tongue instead of being swallowed whole. However, it's too late, as he had already swallowed it. He tries to spit out the pills, but his stomach soon starts to rumble, warning him that there will be consequences if he continues. As Fang Xing tries to ease his discomfort, he suddenly loses consciousness and feels a sharp pain throughout his body. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a warm embrace, as if he is back in his mother's arms. He has stumbled upon an incredible technique, the Taishan Yuelingjing, which has elevated his cultivation to the peak of the second level of spirit movement. However, before he can celebrate his newfound power, his friend Juji delivers terrible news. Fang Xing has scammed many people in the black market, and they have formed a union to capture him, even planning to search the entire outer sect for evidence. Fang Xing immediately panics, realizing that the bag containing incriminating evidence is missing. He frantically searches his room, hoping that it hasn't been found. Meanwhile, Hu Qing, who was robbed by Fang Xing, is going insane over the discovery of the evidence, wondering where it came from. As he scratches his head in confusion, a woman suddenly appears behind him, comforting him with sweet words. It is clear that they are deeply in love. Hu Qing had been desperate to break through his current cultivation stage and was tricked by Fang Xing in the ghost market in exchange for essence stone powder, all for the sake of marrying this woman. Lost in his infatuation with her beauty, Hao Ying vows to make her his wife and makes a dangerous decision. Meanwhile, Fang Xing is still searching anxiously for the red bag, and if it is found, he will have nowhere to hide within the Qingyun sect. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door outside. Fang Xing is already a nervous wreck, afraid that it is the sect's law enforcement team coming for him, but it turns out to be Liu's senior brother whom he educated before. However, he is only a guide because there is another person behind him, who is unexpectedly Hu Qing. Fang Xing is tasked with a compulsory mission from the Taoist sect, which is under the jurisdiction of the Qingyun sect. The leader of the team is his enemy, Hu Qing, and the mission is highly dangerous. Overnight, Juji arrives and urges Fang Xing to leave the sect, offering a private mountain path as an escape route. After careful consideration, Fang Xing declines Juji's offer, knowing that strength is valued in their world and that he needs to become stronger to avoid being bullied. As they journey together, Fang Xing closely observes the team and realizes that they are all from the same family except for Liu San, who shows him some kindness. However, the other two team members regard Fang Xing with a look that suggests he is already a dead man. Fang Xing anticipates that this mission will be challenging due to Ho King's malicious intentions. To mislead the others, Fang Xing feigns drunkenness during the evening, causing them to lower their guard and discuss the mission details openly. It is revealed that their target is a 4th-level giant demon, which is a formidable opponent even for their group. Despite this, the team appears confident in their ability to complete the mission successfully. It is revealed that Hu Qing has already planned a trap. Their strategy is to use Fang Xing's spirit infant blood as bait to lure the giant demon, and then ambush and kill it. Unfortunately, this plan requires Fang Xing to lose all of his blood and die in the process. While Liu San disagrees with the plan, he is unable to voice his concerns and can only provide comfort to Fang Xing while teaching him ways to cope with his guilt. In a few days, they pass through many obstacles and gradually move towards the depths of the Yaozhong Mountains. However, they face a problem of severe thirst due to the lack of water sources. Apart from Hu Qing's high-level cultivation, the other 4 are weak and cannot withstand the situation. As they push on, a young man, Xiao Chang, cannot resist any longer and rushes towards a nearby creek to rest. However, Liu San has noticed something and quickly reacts, grabbing Xiao Chang's arm and throwing him down with a shoulder throw. Xiao Chang becomes angry at Liu San for stopping him from drinking from the river and accuses him of wanting his brother's life. Liu San explains that the river is dangerous and they cannot cross it. Xiao Chang doesn't believe him, claiming that the river looks clear and harmless. To demonstrate the danger, Liu San takes out his dagger and picks up a green snake. He throws the snake into the river, and suddenly, blood gushes out from the water. The snake sinks to the bottom, leaving only white bones visible. It turns out that the river is full of terrifying monster fish, and anyone who touches the water will instantly turn into a pile of bones. Zhao Feng and his companion look at the man behind them with gratitude. If it weren't for him stopping them, they would have been killed. Liu San, a powerful flame master with a reputation that spans hundreds of miles, is present at the gathering. However, in the eyes of Hu Qing, he is merely a junior. The group has convened to secretly plot against Fang Xing, who senses that something is amiss as the formation subtly encircles him. Just then, Fang Xing slips and falls into a nearby swamp, causing everyone to panic. Although they intend to kill Fang Xing, they cannot let him die so easily as they need his spiritual blood for the mission. However, at the crucial moment, Liu San appears and grabs Fang Xing's wrist, having been secretly watching over him. After being saved from the swamp, Fang Xing is filled with regret for almost escaping. They continue their journey and eventually reach their destination. As Hu Qing prepares to signal Zhao Feng to deal with Fang Xing abruptly announces he needs to pee. Hu Qing understands and permits Zhao Feng to accompany him. As they finish, Zhao Feng moves swiftly to take care of Fang Xing with an evil grin on his face, determined to kill him in the quickest and most efficient way possible, believing that Fang Xing is no match for him. However, to Zhao Feng's surprise, Fang Xing has vanished from his side, leaving him bewildered and disoriented. Afterwards, Zhao Feng is suddenly hit with a sharp pain in his waist as Fang Xing catches him off guard with a surprise attack. With a fierce expression, Zhao Feng pulls out a dagger and tries to strike Fang Xing again. Fang Xing reacts quickly, attempting to dodge the attack, but Zhao Feng's movements are too fast. However, Fang Xing manages to grab Zhao Feng's wrist with one hand and deliver a swift kick to his joint with his other foot. Zhao Feng loses all of his fighting power and falls to the ground, defeated. Hu Qing is stunned by Fang Xing's unexpected strength and quickly launches an attack using flying swords. However, Fang Xing deftly avoids the attack and swiftly carries Zhao Feng towards the nearby river teeming with monstrous fish. The fish quickly swarm around Zhao Feng, reducing him to a pile of bones in seconds. Meanwhile, Fang Xing disappears without a trace, leaving Hu Qing alone in shock and disbelief.